great day. What a great day, unless you're James Comey. Haha. Sucks to suck, bro. It is Friday, September 26th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Obviously, the big news everybody's talking about. Giddy up, let's go. James Comey has been indicted for committing perjury and obstruction of justice. And oh, baby, are the right people very, very upset about this? We're going to show you all of the freakouts from the neoconservative left, from the neoconservative right, and the neocon left. 1, 2, Mr. Trump is coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. I'll tell you that right now. Also, turns out another conspiracy theory proven right again, with the FBI having more than 250 agents on the ground during January 6th. A lot of those videos we saw that seemed to be very, very confusing are now starting to make a little bit more sense. As I say on this show all the time, the difference between conspiracy theory and truth is usually about 6 months. But before we get started today, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling. Quick update for... Whoa, that is way too big. Quick update for the local audience. Yesterday we announced our big... Why is that so damn big? We announced our yearly Montauk rally. If you haven't seen it, let me make this a little bit smaller. Sorry about that. Just blew up my screen there. We announced our yearly Montauk rally. That is going to be happening on Saturday, October 4th at the Massapequa train station, starting in Massapequa at 10 a.m., leaving at 12 noon. Make sure you guys are there. If you're already out east, feel free to jump in anywhere along Sunrise Highway. It's going to be a good time. We'll get thousands of people, as we always do. Keep it locked in here for all of the updates there. Also, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Pick up your Fight shirts, baby. The original design right here from the Loud Majority. Pick that up today. Go to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. And if you already have everything on the website, which I very much doubt, consider becoming a monthly donor over here at the Loud Majority. That's how we keep the lights on over here. That's how we keep bringing you guys all this slick content. Giddy up. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, another little side note, James O'Keefe drops a banger about Jeffrey Epstein from someone who knows probably better than anybody else. We'll get to that in the second half of the show today. But the big news, the gigantic news, the news everybody's talking about. James Comey has been indicted by the Eastern District. Giddy up. Let's go. I love every little bit of this. James Comey has been indicted for lying to Congress. Now, you guys know I am the rational take. Everyone should probably pump the brakes here. I don't think James Comey is going to go to jail. I don't even think the jury is going to convict him. Apparently, we're getting a Biden-appointed judge from the Eastern District of Virginia, which, of course, is one of the most liberal courts in all of the country. So everybody just breathe. We'll see what all comes out of this. But here was the breaking news of James Comey being indicted.
Welcome back. Breaking right now. Tonight, a major update to a story we brought to you earlier in the hour. A grand jury has just handed down an indictment for former FBI Director James Comey. The Justice Department accuses Comey of lying to Congress while under oath back in 2020. Let's bring in David Spunt with all the breaking details. David, what can you tell us?
Well, Jillian, we are waiting to get the actual details of the indictment. We're just told that an indictment has been handed up against the former FBI Director, James Comey. So I don't want to speculate on the actual charges yet until I see the paper in hand. That's the only responsible thing to do. But we know that James Comey, the former FBI Director, has been indicted. We're waiting to see if there's any sort of comment from the Justice Department. As of now, there is is no comment from the Justice Department, but we have been reporting all week that a grand jury has been impaneled in the Eastern District of Virginia, specifically in Alexandria, Virginia, looking at 2020 testimony. James Comey testified before Congress remotely from his home in Virginia because this was during the throes of COVID, before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and apparently there were parts of that testimony where federal prosecutors believe that he lied. We also know today that U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, the newly installed U.S. Attorney, who's been on the job since Monday, imagine what a first week that is, Jillian, took this before the grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia, and successfully returned an indictment. So I'm going to wait until we have more on the indictment. We're looking at the paper. We'll come back. We'll bring it back to you. But we can confirm that an indictment has been handed up against former FBI Director James Comey. No comment immediately from his attorney at this time. Jillian.
All right, David, stick with us and bring us any new details you get as they come to you. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead now and bring in Jonathan Turley, professor at George Washington University Law School. A lot of people anticipated this coming in light of everything that the president has said and indicated lately, as well as the DOJ. We don't know the charges yet, but we know that there is an indictment. What do you make of it?
Well, this has been an extraordinary few days. The president issued a social media posting in which he seemed to pressure indictments against individuals, including Comey. That was then withdrawn. We also heard reports that prosecutors opposed going to the grand jury, that they didn't feel that there was a case to be made here. And now, of course, we have what appears to be an indictment. It is a seismic event. I mean, you're talking about a former director of the FBI. And there have been long allegations that that Comey was a leaker. If you recall, the Inspector General's report was scathing with regard to Comey's conduct. Comey removed FBI documents, including classified information, when he was fired. And the Inspector General went after him, but it did not find that he specifically leaked that to the New York Times. But this could be a perjury case as opposed to a leak case.
So what is Jonathan Turley talking about here? What is the exact moment that they are beginning to hit him on? Well, Ted Cruz, in a committee hearing back in 2020, exactly asked James Comey this question. And when it comes to perjury, there is a 5-year statute of limitations, which is up next month, which is exactly why they decided to bring this case now, because they were running out of time on it. Here's the exact moment in which Comey lied.
Another topic. On May 3rd, 2017, in this committee, Chairman Grassley asked you point blank, quote, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation? You responded under oath, quote, never. He then asked you, quote, have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration? You responded again under oath, no. Now, as you know, Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it. Now, what Mr. McCabe is saying and what you testified to this committee cannot both be true. One or the other is false. Who's telling the truth?
I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by what the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017.
So your testimony is you've never authorized anyone to leak. And Mr. McCabe, if he says contrary, is not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not going to characterize Andy's testimony, but mine is the same today.
All right, I'm going to make a final point because my time has expired. This investigation of the president was corrupt. The FBI and the Department of Justice were politicized and weaponized. And in my opinion, there are only two possibilities: that you were deliberately corrupt or woefully incompetent. And I don't believe you were incompetent. This has done severe damage to the professionals and the honorable men and women at the FBI because law enforcement should not be used as a political weapon. And that
That is the moment in which James Comey is currently being prosecuted. Now, naturally, the left online has gone apoplectic. Oh, can you believe it? This is a weaponization of the justice system. Of course, they, failed to ignore the... they failed to, acknowledge the mugshot on the ridiculous charges that Donald Trump had, which were eventually thrown out because the district attorney was sleeping with the prosecutor who was handling the case. Naturally, they choose to ignore that little nugget. They also choose to ignore the fact that Letitia James is out there just short of $1 billion now. Just short of $1 billion after the Donald Trump civil case was thrown out. They conveniently ignore that. I wonder why. It's so easy to see what Democrats are doing. All you have to do, is just watch what they say you're doing, because Democrats are the ultimate projectors. Democrats are the ultimate projectors. Now, don't get me wrong. People on the right are losing their minds about this, too. Here is David Frum. Some of you will remember David Frum from back in the Bush administration. He is the guy who very famously categorized the axis of evil when it came to the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the axis of evil. David Frum, every once in a while, takes a little break from looking for those weapons of mass destruction that never existed in the first place to let us know that America is different today than we got to remember this day. We got to write down this day, for we will never forget it again.
Charges in American history.
I think we all need to mark this day, September 25th. It's a major milestone on America's transition from a fully free to a less free country. And I think that what you just remarked about George Soros is so important because, look, I think the tendency of some of the excellent reporting that we've heard over the past 20 minutes has been to offer viewers a little bit of comfort. Maybe the case will be dismissed as a selective prosecution. Maybe the jury will refuse to convict. But the president has here an agenda that is bigger than mere retribution, as reprehensible and un-American and contemptible and vile and undemocratic, and I'll fill in the words as that is. After the shooting of Charlie Kirk, that heinous crime, the president went on national television and he said what he wants to do next, and that is attack the fundraising of the Democratic Party by using the prosecution mechanism. This is not just a backward-looking prosecution against the president's past enemies. This is a declaration that the president and one of his most important aides, Stephen Miller, has made this point also explicitly, intends to act in the future to use the prosecution mechanism to pervert the 2026 elections, break up Democratic Party fundraising. That's why you go after Reid Hoffman. That's why you go after the Soros family. They're important Democratic donors. Stop them, intimidate, and maybe even if you don't stop them, intimidate them, frighten them, warn them that there could be a prosecution in your future if you give money to my opponents. So President Trump is playing for all the marbles here. And the various forms of consolation that we have, maybe that Pam Bondi feels a little bad about her actions here. Pam Bondi should have walked out the building. She's already disgraced herself by the fact that she's on the job tonight is a disgrace and an indication of who she is and what she is. But more is coming if the president can have his way, and the 2026 elections are in grave danger, and this is one of the mechanisms, along with deploying police on the streets of cities, to make sure that the elections are not free and not fair so that Trump has a chance.
Rebecca, do you agree?
Be careful, David Frum. You reach any harder, you're going to pull a muscle. So Donald Trump prosecutes a guy for lying to Congress, which is a crime, and you somehow take that into the realm that there will not be an election in 2026. I don't know what the hell that means, particularly from the guy who lied us into a war that lasted 20 years. I'm sure David Frum made a pretty penny off of all of that. MSNBC, for their part, is also beginning to go apoplectic about this. I love seeing all of the worst people in America be mad that one of their fellow bad people, they're quote unquote rich men north of Richmond, to steal a line, are getting their comeuppance. George Carlin used to say it all the time, that it's one big club and you're not in it. And finally, the people who are in that big club are starting to understand that we dictate what happens, not them. And look, the FBI has been corrupted for years, let's be honest. We go all the way back to when their cross-dressing director decided to have files on everyone in America. right the way up through people like Andy McCabe and James Comey. It's not hard to see. It's not hard to see what the three-letter agencies have been up to. People have been yelling about it for years. The only difference is now people like David Frum have to go on places like CNN that get no viewership to complain about their prosecutions. I love seeing it. I love seeing every single second of it. I hope Comey goes to jail. I wouldn't bet the house on it. But it's nice to see that there's some accountability. Naturally, MSNBC ain't having it.
I'm not sure what is.
Let's bring in MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin into the conversation. Lisa, welcome. Just your assessment on this stunning development and what you think some of the legal ramifications could be over the next few weeks.
Well, look, Michael, we need to...
Also, real quick, before we get to this, do we really need 7 people on one panel? 7 people on one panel? Really?
See what the charges are here and specifically what the charging instrument says. And although the Eastern District of Virginia's press release refers us all to a criminal case number, I was maddeningly refreshing before I came on set with you, and I still haven't seen it. It still doesn't appear to be up. But that having been said, my first big question has to do with this report that I'm pouring through, and I'm just going to hold it up for you and our viewers right now. This is a report written by the Office of the Inspector General at the Department of Justice in August of 2019, and it has to do with how Jim Comey handled certain sensitive and classified information when he was writing himself memos about conversations that he had with then President Trump during his first term and the people to whom he shared that information. And one of the things that this report says very clearly is that while the focus of this report is whether or not Mr. Comey broke certain allegiances that he owed to the Department of Justice and to the Federal Bureau, and whether or not he violated his employment agreement, they also referred their findings to the criminal division at the Department of Justice to make an up or down decision on whether Jim Comey should be prosecuted. I want to remind you again of the time frame of this report. August 2019 is not the Joe Biden presidency. It is Donald Trump squarely still in office. And in August 2019, the Department of Justice made a decision that they were not going to prosecute Jim Comey for his handling of certain of this information. And certainly it discusses what it was that he said in certain of his congressional testimony as well. So again, we're going to need to see the full charges. But my biggest question is, why is it that a Department of Justice that fully was informed of all the relevant facts during the time that Donald Trump was first president didn't see fit to prosecute him then, and yet is reviving this, talk about a zombie case within days of the statute of limitations expiring on the false statements to Congress charge?
Ken, I just want to acknowledge that we all see you continuing to report, and that is...
So let me get this straight, MSNBC. I want to make sure I'm reading the room correctly here, because I know I'm a simpleton, and you're the smart people. I get that. I understand that. So let me just break this down. You're trying to tell me it is Donald Trump's fault for not initiating James Comey's prosecution into James Comey's attempt to prosecute Donald Trump for a crime that James Comey concocted. Let me make sure I got that right. I want to make sure I got that right. Writing that down. So it's Trump's fault that he didn't prosecute James Comey for the lie that he perpetrated in not prosecuting him? Do I have that right? I know that sounded like a Kamala Harris word salad because I don't know what that sentence is. I don't know what that woman is trying to say. And yes, the statute of limitations is almost up. Which is why they're prosecuting it now. What about that is befuddling to the 7-person panel on MSNBC? Congratulations, MSNBC. You now have more people on your show than watching it. Not bad, guys. That's actually pretty impressive. But Ben Domenech over on the right is making some pretty valid points about just how awful James Comey actually is. We're going to get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Well, it's that time of year again, isn't it? My favorite time of year. Fall. Oh, I love the leaves. I love the autumn smell. I love the pumpkins. I love it all right before the snow flies. But what I don't love that comes with the cold weather and the fall weather is the flu, are the sniffles, the cold, all those common cold sniffles that you get every year. And if you have kids in the house, little kids going to and fro school, and they're coming back and they're touching everything and they're bringing the bacteria and all those viruses home from school, you don't want anything to do with that. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. That's why we're going to talk about propolis today. You know what propolis is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, propolis is what works as a barrier to keep the beehive absolutely safe. And what am I talking about? Well, Beekeepers Naturals. Now, my wife really turned me on to this. This is an endorsement of my wife and then myself as well. Beekeepers Naturals, folks, that is exactly what this is. This is a proactive rather than a reactive, all natural, all clean alternative to big food and big pharma. You've got your Beekeepers vitamin C packs, which are perfect for on the go, right? You've got your Beekeepers Propolis nasal spray. A few shots up the nose, clears out your nostrils, cleans any congestion that you have, and it's all natural, and it's going to work as a proactive barrier to any of that unwanted bacteria getting in. How about the Beekeepers All Natural Propolis Immune Throat Spray? 3 or 4 pumps of that a day, and anything that you're breathing in is going to be either repelled or killed right away. That's the amazing thing about propolis, and that is the amazing thing about Beekeepers Naturals. And I got a 20% discount for you. What's better than that? 20% discount. Look, you can even get the throat soothing pops and the kids prebiotic fiber pops along with the throat spray, along with the nasal spray, along with the vitamin C packs. Folks, they've got it all, and it's an all-natural, clean, beautiful option for you to have in order to, get away from the big food, get away from the big pharma, and go more natural, especially with a 20% discount. How can you not go to Beekeepers Naturals today /LFA and get your 20% discount? Clean out your medicine cabinet today with beekeepers.com /LFA. And now back to the show.
So Ben Domenech over on Fox News actually had a pretty rational take on James Comey. I'm sure he's probably not thrilled with this prosecution. Ben Domenech tends to fall a little bit more into the neocon right than I would like. But I've met Ben several times. He's actually a really nice guy. One-on-one kind of thing. We've been out to dinner before. He had a more rational take on this whole James Comey situation.
First off, I find James Comey to be someone who was one of the most meticulous manipulators of media coverage that we have had in Washington in a very long time. He was someone who knew how to feed narratives and engage in spin. It would be particularly, I think, humorous for this to be the thing that eventually tripped him up, because he seemed to be very careful about having kind of cutouts all along the way of getting his story out there. But I also think that one of the things that we can look back in this moment is, you actually need to restore faith in the types of individuals who are in these jobs going forward. The American people deserve that. And I don't think that James Comey exited his office or went through this process without losing the faith, not just of Republicans, I should say, but Democrats as well, for the way that he would engage in personal spin, trying to cast himself time and again as being the heroic sort of, stalwart figure and ramrod straight FBI agent and the like along the way. I don't know how this is going to play out. I am not surprised by this indictment. I actually believe that the odds favor a conviction in this moving forward. And even though I think there's hesitation about this case for all the obvious reasons, I would not be surprised if he ends up being convicted on at least one of these counts.
And Annie,
all right, Ben. All right, I see you. All right. Ben's a little bit more optimistic than I am. Look, let's hope that it happens. Let's hope that he's not the last one. It is, and Ben's right about this. It is actually I don't know, it's kind of funny that of all the things that James Comey has done that have been improper or illegal or wrong or deceitful to the American people, that this is the thing that trips him up. You know, this kind of feels like when they got Al Capone for tax evasion. Have you guys ever seen the movie The Untouchables? Love that movie. You know what I'm talking about? When Kevin Costner looks at the little guy. I don't know what the hell his name is. Looks at the little guy and says, "You want to try a murderer for tax evasion?" And he says, "Well, it's a start." And he's right. It is a start. It is a start. And you know what? Maybe we aren't all thrilled at the idea. Maybe, you know, some people think that he should be tried for more, which we're going to get to in a little bit about January 6th and the like. But you know what? For now, I'll take it. For now, I'll take it. Can we get a package deal for Adam Schiff? Well, actually, the Senate goes back into session this next week, I believe. Maybe we will get the censure of Adam Smith. Jeez, I can't believe I said Adam Schiff, not Adam Smith. Adam Smith, idol of mine. But let's see if we get that. Naturally, President Trump would not hold back in his disdain for James Comey. Here he was speaking about James Comey right when Susan Moreno, or when they got Cuomo for allegedly touching someone inappropriately instead of killing thousands of seniors. Exactly, like that. Also, I always thought that Cuomo, you know, being a bit of a creep was always kind of, you know, a way to get him out so they never had to talk about the elderly scandal. That's at least what I always felt. But maybe we could do a whole show on that one. But naturally, President Trump couldn't hold back. By the way, if you're on Long Island right now, you may have been woken up this morning by the sounds of jets going over Republic Airport. No, not the New York Jets, because let's be honest, you know, if the New York Jets threw a ball and tried to hit Republic Airport, I'm sure they would miss. But many of you probably saw Air Force One coming over your house. Some of you may have even been woken up by it if you like to sleep in. So President Trump is currently on Long Island at the Bethpage Golf Course for the Ryder Cup. Many of you have asked me, Kevin, are you going to go? Kevin, are you going to go to the Ryder Cup and see Trump? Yeah, I want to be clear. You couldn't pay me enough money to go anywhere near that golf course right now, okay? First off, you got to park like 20 miles away. I know there's some protest happening there, but these people don't understand how these things work, and I'm sure they're protesting in Farmingdale when the damn event is happening in Bethpage. But, you know, don't listen to me. What the hell do I know? Here was President Trump on Comey.
Mr. President, I'm James Comey. Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he was worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
Will you appoint a permanent U.S. attorney to try this case? Lindsey Halligan has never tried a case.
Well, we'll see, but it's a pretty easy case because, look, he lied. You saw my truth today. He lied. It was yes, no. He didn't say, well, in my opinion, he didn't do a lot of things that maybe he should have, but I don't think he could because he lied. That was a very important question that he was asked. And he wanted to be specific, but he didn't. The only thing that happened to him, he didn't think he'd get caught. That answer that he gave, that was a very important answer. And it was for him, it was a very good answer if he didn't get caught. But he got caught lying to Congress.
How is this not politicizing the
President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me. For 4 years, they went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from, 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse. And some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
Because that's how it went, where they made you go and take a mugshot. Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. Everybody knew it. And it's, as far as the case is concerned, he gave an answer. It was a strong answer. He then verified it a couple of times because that was a very important answer. If he would have equivocated, if he would have been like a little bit less sure, that would have been very bad for him. So he gave an answer. The only problem is for him, he didn't think it'd be caught. And he got caught, Peter. This is about justice. He lied a lot, but this was a very important thing. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer, and then he verified it numerous times, and he got caught. The problem that Comey has is he got caught lying, and he was very strong. It's not like, well, maybe, or I don't remember, or he gave a very specific answer because it was a very powerful question, a very important question. And when he gave the answer, the only problem is he got caught. So.
Yeah, I can watch Trump do that all day. Just let people lose their ever-loving minds over this. And he's right. He's right. He didn't think he would ever get caught. He didn't think Donald Trump would win again. He never thought that he would be in this sort of situation. And unfortunately, unfortunately for him, I guess if you're James Comey, boy, that 86-47 is really looking pretty dumb right about now. Looking pretty dumb right about now. You know who else looking pretty dumb right about now? Everyone who said that there was a conspiracy theory that there were FBI agents on the ground during January 6th. We're going to get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sale because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Giddy up, let's go, guys. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button wherever it is you may be watching from. Make sure you share this video out. Let's pop the live chat up onto the screen and say hello to everybody before we get into the gigantic January 6th news that has been taking over the place. Let's take this and let's move that over here. Once again, guys, for my local audience, our 6th annual Montauk Rally will be Saturday, October 4th at the Massapequa train station from 10 a.m. to noon. We'll be hanging out there. At 12 noon, we'll be headed out east. So make sure you guys come on down, jump on in. If you're watching this on Facebook or you're watching this on any of the other platforms, please do me a favor and share out that flyer. Let's get this thing nice and big. Nice and big. What up, Callie? What up, Callie's in a bad mood today. Some idiot who only gets like 9 views on his ridiculous show upset her. What are you going to do? What are you going to I tell you what, it's not this show. It's not this show with 140,000 daily views. I'll tell you that. It ain't this show. What up, Sky? How we doing? Susan, how are you? I'm trying to be diplomatic here. Trying to be good. I don't care. Whatever. Guys, once again, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Let's get rocking. Let's get rolling. So, once again, conspiracy theorists. We're all conspiracy theorists, everybody. There were no FBI agents on the ground during January 6th. There were none there. Oh, except for the fact that now even Yahoo News is reporting that the FBI had embedded 275 plainclothes agents on January 6th. Oh, really? Really? Rep. Barry Loudermilk, the chairman of the House January 6th Select Committee, said this week that his panel is focused on the number and the role of paid informants present on January 6th. Oh, really? I thought that was a conspiracy theory. Here's Thomas Massey.
Okay, I was hoping today to give you an opportunity to put to rest the concerns that people have that there were federal agents or assets of the federal government present on January 5th and January 6th. Can you tell us, without talking about particular incidents or particular videos, how many agents or assets of the federal government were present on January 6th, whether they agitated to go into the Capitol, and if any of them did?
So I'm not going to violate this norm of the rule of law. I'm not going to comment on an investigation that's ongoing.
Now, in that video, that was your answer to a question to me 2 years ago. When I said how many agents or assets of the government were present on January 5th and January 6th and agitating in the crowd to go into the Capitol, and how many went into the Capitol. Can you answer that now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, last time, you don't know how many there were, or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. If there were any, I don't know how many. I don't know whether there are any.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't know that there were any. You want to say that again, that you don't know that there were any?
I have no personal knowledge of this matter. I think what I said last time.
You've had 2 years to find out. You know, were there any confidential human sources involved from the FBI or any other agency in the erection of that prop, those gallows?
I'm not aware of anything like that.
Inspector General Horowitz, over the past 3 years, I've questioned FBI Director Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland about the federal assets, such as confidential human sources that were present on January 6th at the Capitol, and they have continuously stonewalled me. We've got no answers whatsoever about this from them. Do you have evidence of the number of confidential human sources that were operating on the Capitol grounds on January 6th?
Our report will include the information in that regard.
Can you tell us today how many there were? Were there more than 100?
I'm not in a position to say that, both because it's in draft form and we have not gone through the classification review. And so I need to be careful.
And we're 4 years, almost 4 years into this report. When is it going to be released?
It's certainly my hope and expectation, although I don't control this entirely because it has to go through a classification review, but certainly in the next couple of months is my hope.
Do you think, is there any consideration for the election about the release of this report? Would you delay it in order to not release it right before the election?
At this point, given the process that has to play out in terms of classification review and all of that, I'm not making any, I don't have to make any judgment about that. We're still, that still has to go on. Just to give you a sense of it, when I did the Pfizer review.
You're saying it's not even going to be done in time before the election?
It doesn't, I doubt it would be done in time for the election.
We know, what we do know is you're going to expose that there were confidential human sources at the Capitol. Can you tell us today how many went into the Capitol?
I'll have that information in the report. I'm not able to speak to information in there, both because it's in draft and we get a response from the department and the FBI, but also because I don't know yet what's classified and not classified.
So if they broke the law, if they went into the Capitol, which we pretty much know there were confidential human sources who went into the Capitol and right there alongside of everybody else, wouldn't they need...
Now that's interesting. We know that confidential human sources went into the Capitol. We know that confidential human sources went into the Capitol. Merrick Garland said that he was unaware if any of them have happened. Well, I don't know about you guys, because look, I get it. I'm just a simple man with a camera and a microphone. I'm not up to date on things the way Merrick Garland and Chris Wray and James Comey and whoever the hell the last guy was there. I know I'm not up to date on things. However, I will say that this video seems to make a little bit more sense now.
Of us were aggressive and pushing it. Look at that. 200. What were 275 agents doing January 6th? Because there's videos of them that look like feds with a mask pack, breaking windows, breaking shit. It's like nothing. Everything that we said was we were right.
You
we
are
were
so
crazy.
right, Vinny. And by the way, I'll just add one thing to you. Yeah. Remember, you were always suspicious about the 40 khaki guys that would all wear the same khakis and they and the masks and the flags, and they would walk down the thing and like saying angry things trying to start riots. Guess what?
Look, Tom, look at this. Like, they brought the protester. Look, give me some dap, agent. Thank you, bro. I did my job. What? Unbelievable. This is the same FBI, guys. They've been corrupt forever. And
what is this video? What is
this? This is in January 6th, Adam. They grabbed the guy that's a protester, and then they look at how nice they're treating this guy. Why would you let him go? Why would you let him go?
Because he's one of them, and they're fist bumping.
Exactly.
They were acting
What's that
in
saying,
their
Tom?
own play.
The chickens have come home to roost. How many times?
Damn,
you know, people say, I don't like to say I told you so. I actually do, because we...
That video seems to make a little bit more sense now with apparently the guy who was being handcuffed cut out of his handcuffs and then fist bumping one of the Capitol Police officers who cut him out of said handcuffs. Boy, that certainly makes a hell of a lot more sense now. Also, how do I say this delicately? There have been some camera angles released of someone who looks like somebody else on that day, and some people have always wondered how those camera angles existed, but never said it in real life, never questioned it before. How did someone get a camera angle of somebody who wasn't there? One person watching this is losing their mind right now. But all those camera angles seem to be good quality photos for your run-of-the-mill Amazon body camera. 275. 275. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. More interesting stuff coming up in just 1 second. As James O'Keefe drops another bombshell about Epstein. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. It's absolutely wild. We're going to play you the full video. Remember that person I said was freaking out? They just texted me. We'll be back in 1 second. Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, getting camera angles of people who weren't at January 6th is tough. But you know what's not tough? Heading on over to oldglorybank.com and investing in people who support your values, guys. Old Glory Bank stands for prosperity, security, and liberty. Guys, lock in those interest rates today before... I'm in so much trouble right now. Before... Jerome Powell either wises up or loses his job. Guys, set up some safe investments today. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a huge believer in nice 3-4% CDs. Get involved in that right now. So, James O'Keefe, my boy James O'Keefe, drops a banger about Jeffrey Epstein from a virtually unimpeachable source. We're going to play you a bunch of that clip. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Once again, as always, guys, support James O'Keefe's work over at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. That's O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. I get absolutely nothing for that. I just believe in the work James has done, and he's a good friend of mine, so I want to support him. Here is James O'Keefe dropping bombs about Trump, Epstein, and the Clintons from an unimpeachable DOJ source.
It's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people. Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax of the case, like a hoax or something. I'm like, come on, you know it's not a hoax. He's been on the plane, many times. Mm-hmm. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids. I've seen the itineraries and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. While the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred.
Overheard at Phoenix Airport on September 8th, 2025, a senior Justice Department investigator who personally worked on the Epstein case tells all. Glenn Prager, who has reviewed Epstein itineraries and has interviewed Epstein's victims, drops a bombshell. He says that the DOJ did not want to go after Epstein because he's a CIA asset, that the evidence from his investigation confirms that Bill Clinton was present for alleged rapes on the Lolita Express, and that President Trump was not present for the rapes that Glenn Prager investigated, but that he is protecting a lot of other people that were.
How about this whole Epstein thing that's like going down?
So I worked on that case. I used to interview all the victims. And my picture was 20 to 30 victims in Palm Beach that I was interviewing and dealing with and stuff like that. And then we would go ready to go to trial and they would flip. Epstein would just pay them off. And they were just like these little kids. They pay off their family. They're all broke kids and poor families. And all. So you pay them off like anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Nothing in that guy's world.
Prager there describes how the victims that he interviewed were paid off by Epstein right before going to trial. Prager has worked as an investigator inside the Department of Justice for over 20 years. According to Prager's LinkedIn About page, it says that during the tenure at DOJ, Prager served as an inspector overseeing sensitive investigations involving major DOJ components, including the FBI, DEA, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, and the U.S. Attorney's offices. This seems to corroborate what Prager told us. He was tasked with interviewing Epstein's rape victims and investigating flight logs. On his backpack in the airport, we spotted an embroidered FBI patch, which caught the attention of our citizen journalist.
I'll tell you this, because no, it's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA informant.
Although many have suspected it to be the case, this is the first time a Department of Justice official has confirmed that Epstein worked for the CIA and is a foreign asset.
So DOJ was settling a case, and they were just letting him, do house arrest and they minimized his arrest. Part of that is because all the victims kept on flipping, and they didn't have anyone to go to trial with. The more importantly part is they didn't want to go after him. He's a asset for the United States and Israel for the CIA. I just know that's what he was. And that's why he was protected so long for this. And people turn a blind eye about all this garbage that he was doing in the United States. He had a lot of secrets. More about Israeli stuff than anything else. I mean, he was doing stuff for Israel and the United States. He was, he's working for both.
Glenn Prager, the Department of Justice investigator on the Epstein case, then talks about whether President Trump was involved. Many are trying to tie Trump to Epstein, but what Glenn Prager says is that Trump wasn't present during the inappropriate sexual behavior that he was investigating. But Prager does say that Bill Clinton was, backed up by his experience interviewing the victims and reviewing the Epstein Lolita Express itineraries. Quote, they killed the Epstein list to protect the Clintons.
But they claim that, that Trump's, involved in the rapes and all that stuff, and he wasn't. I mean, I've seen the agendas, I've seen the itineraries, and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. I remember that it was being killed because I know Clintons were on there. And
The Clintons were on there?
100%. And while the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred. And I'm saying Trump, although as many flights as there were and all that kind of stuff, and on the island and all that stuff, he was never there during a single alleged rape. But that Clinton for sure, and that's where the big cover-up was.
The Department of Justice investigator inside the Trump Justice Department says that while Trump may not have been present during the crimes that Prager investigated, it is clear that Trump is, quote, protecting a lot of people.
I don't know what's new that I have never seen that he's so hesitant to now show what's going on, and releasing all these files and stuff like that. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people.
The citizen journalist.
Now, that goes on for about 15 minutes. I would urge everybody to go on Twitter, on wherever James has posted that video. Please do share the video out. Support James's work over at O'Keefe Media Group for sure. As James used to say, which I don't know if he can say anymore, so I'll say it. Be brave, do something. I don't think that was his normal honeypot sort of operation. I think that was just somebody listening in an airport somewhere. So guys, keep your phone. Remember, you're all journalists. You're all journalists right here. So keep your phones out, particularly if you're meeting with, school board members and whatnot. I can't tell you how many, side note, we'll get back to the Epstein video. I can't tell you how many people tell me that they meet with, college officials and high school principals and they aren't recording it. I don't know what the hell you guys are doing, why you wouldn't do that. You don't have to put the phone on the desk. Keep it in your pocket, and if you get something juicy, send it my way. Send it James's way. Send it to the New York Post. I don't give a shit who you give it to. Send it to Jeremy or Sean or Will or Pete, and just, keep doing that. Let's go. Bring that out there. Keep that phone recording. So they say that the guy says that he thinks that President Trump is protecting someone. I don't know if he's protecting anyone. This seems like more of a leverage thing because, as the guy says in the video, Trump's not implicated in any of this stuff. So why is he doing it? Why isn't he releasing it? I don't know. But he does very clearly say that Donald Trump is not implicated in any of the crimes. In any of the crimes. He cannot, however, say the same thing for the Clintons. So, in the last 45 minutes or so, we've talked about Chris Wray and James Comey. We've talked about Merrick Garland, and we've talked about the Clintons on Epstein Island. Are more indictments coming? I know. Well, look, guys, I know a lot of you guys have been incredibly frustrated with the fact that this administration seems to be slow playing a lot of this stuff. I've been telling you all to be patient. Please continue to be patient. I know it is frustrating, but actions are being taken. This administration is not going to shoot if they think they're going to miss. They're not going to shoot if they think they're going to miss. Also, more juice, more juicy gossip, more good stuff. Donald Trump is planning to extremely go after left-wing organizations, particularly like Antifa. We didn't get a chance to talk about this over the last couple of days, but Donald Trump has marked Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, which is good, considering they have tried to kill many people I know. They've put out threats against me. They've put Sean and myself on lists. They've done all that good stuff. And we're seeing it today in the streets of Chicago. Here's Jack Posobiec.
Well, folks, we have it again. Guys, throw it up. Throw up the videos. Another ICE facility is under attack outside Chicago. The violent Antifa left, as it turns out, has not stopped just because they were asked to. Stop, guys! Just stop! It's not going to work. It will not work. It will never work. The only thing they respond to is action. The only thing they respond to is swift government action with government force behind it, whether state or, in this case, obviously federal. What are we waiting for? What are we doing? We got the Comey indictment last night, which I applaud. I absolutely applaud. A.G. Bondi made the right move. We are now balancing the scales. The scales need to be balanced, because if we don't balance the scales, it's like a young child, right? When you're dealing with your kids. And the kid does something, and he does something, and he does it again, and he acts up again, and he acts up again. Every once in a while, if you got to be dad, dad's got to put the foot down. You got to put the foot down, or otherwise they're going to keep doing it. So with the DC corruption, absolutely. That means you have to indict. You have to put pressure in the opposite direction. When it comes to the violent left, it's the same thing. They will not stop. They are doing this over and over and over to conservatives, to ICE agents, to Christians, to Catholics. You think they're just going to give up because you made some good argument or you made some good debate point? You think they're just going to give up? Why don't you come down here to the Charlie Kirk studio and ask that question? Why don't you ask the guy right here? Oh, wait, you can't do that, can you?
Jack hitting the nail on the head there. And, it doesn't bring me any great joy. Jack's a friend, but it doesn't bring me any great joy to say that Jack is right. But if you want to see if these people are going to stop, just ask the guy sitting in the chair next to him. Oh, right. You can't. You can't. Guys, it is 4 o'clock. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in, guys. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. And while you guys are there, become a monthly donor. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Stay loud.